deep in Montana's ruthless wilderness, where towering peaks meet vast golden fields, something is brewing, and it's far more dangerous than anyone suspects. Mexico's most feared cartel, Los Sangre Negra, has just made a fatal miscalculation. They set their sights on what they believed was an easy target, a quiet, remote farm in Silver Creek Valley owned by an aging man named John Harrison. But they picked the wrong farm, because John isn't just some old farmer. He was Phantom, the most legendary Delta Force commander in U.S. history. His missions were so secret even the CIA pretended they never happened. His name alone once made entire terror cells surrender without a fight. And now, for the first time, the story of what happened when the deadliest cartel crossed paths with America's ghost soldier is ready to be told. Quick break. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe, because tomorrow's episode, it'll blow your mind. As frost crunched beneath his boots, John made his morning rounds, sunrise turning the Montana sky into fire. His loyal German shepherd, Atlas, trotted beside him, ears perked. Though 68, John moved like a soldier still on active duty, every step alert, every glance scanning the terrain. Then he saw them. Fresh tire tracks, heavy, unfamiliar, not local. His neighbor Sarah pulled up fast, her face pale. "They're gone, John. The Thompsons, packed up in the night. This morning I saw black SUVs at their place, strangers." "Cartel," John said, calm. But his mind was already 10 steps ahead. They were buying land, and when money didn't work, intimidation followed. "Distribution routes, remote farms, perfect cover." Sarah's voice dropped. "The sheriff's outmatched. No one's willing to fight." John nodded. "I've dealt with worse." After she left, he went straight to his barn. Beneath the floorboards lay what his friends once called paranoia. He called it preparation, a hidden stockpile of military-grade gear ready for the moment things went south. That moment had just arrived. A text pinged. 7 farms hit this month. Watch your back." John opened the old maps. His land wasn't just valuable. It was strategic, a natural choke point. Whoever held it controlled the valley. Then came the black SUVs, slow, scouting, watching. "They have no idea who they're dealing with," John whispered to Atlas. By noon, calls were made. Old brothers in arms, men from missions that never made the history books. "It's Phantom." "Time to repay that favor." One by one they answered. Knox the sniper, Cyrus, demo expert, Zane the comms ghost, Nash the medic. "They're not as young as they used to be," one joked. John smirked. "Neither are we." By evening, the farm was no longer just a home. It was a battlefield. Every tree, every rise, every route, carefully analyzed and repurposed into the perfect trap. The cartel thought they were taking over a farm. They didn't know they were walking straight into a war zone, built by the most dangerous man they never saw coming. In the heart of Montana's unforgiving wilderness, John Harrison was about to receive visitors. But these weren't neighbors. They were wolves in suits, and they were circling. Atlas, his loyal German shepherd, let out a low growl as black SUVs crunched to a halt at the gate. Same ones as earlier, but this time they didn't just drive by. They stopped. John straightened his back, adjusted his old baseball cap, and stepped into character. Just a harmless old farmer. Let them think that. Let them underestimate him. They'd only make that mistake once. 5 men stepped out, their tailored suits looking ridiculous against the rugged Montana backdrop. 2 more stayed behind, hands near their jackets, watching, waiting, trained, but sloppy. The leader, Miguel Ramirez, approached with a polished smile and cold eyes. "Mr. Harrison, beautiful land you've got here." John shook his hand. Firm grip, too firm, amateur move. "What can I do for you, gentlemen?" he asked with practiced ease, watching 2 others drift toward his barn, pretending not to be noticed. Another lingered near the gate, muttering into a radio, military posture but careless. "We represent an investment group," Ramirez said. "Acquiring properties, expanding operations. Your land has certain features." John leaned against a fence post, calm and casual. On the inside, his mind was calculating. Fields of fire, approach angles, fallback positions. 3 of the men had military backgrounds. The others, hired muscle, brutes. Not interested in selling, John said flatly. This place has been in my family too long. Ramirez smiled tighter. 3 million. Cash. More than fair. John scratched Atlas behind the ears, buying time. He'd already clocked the men by the barn, checking for blind spots, assessing defenses. This wasn't a real estate deal. It was recon. Money's not everything, he said. Some things aren't for sale. The mask cracked. Ramirez stepped closer, lowering his voice. This valley is changing. You can be part of that, or be left behind. Accidents happen to people who don't adapt. John's reply was calm, but his voice carried steel. Sounds like a threat, Mr. Ramirez. Ramirez flinched, barely, at the sound of his name. One John wasn't supposed to know. A warning, a hint. The old man wasn't who they thought he was. Just a fact, Ramirez said, recovering. One of the men by the barn shouted something in Spanish. Security cameras. The obvious ones. They'd missed the real system, hidden, silent, watching everything. Ramirez handed him a business card. Fake company, cartel front. You have 24 hours. After that, the offer gets less friendly. John took the card without blinking. I'll sleep on it. Nice dog, Ramirez added. Would be a shame if something happened to him. John's voice dropped, deadly calm. That would be a very serious mistake. Ramirez froze for just a second. The threat had backfired. Something in John's tone, cold, precise, rattled him. For a moment, he saw it. Not the farmer, the ghost beneath. After the SUVs disappeared, Sheriff Michael Roberts pulled in with his lights off. They'd known each other for 15 years. Just saw Ramirez leaving, Roberts said. Wanted to check on you. Inside, over black coffee, the sheriff looked worn out. The Rodriguez place was hit. Their barn's gone. Fire department's calling it an accident. How many families now? John asked. 5. 2 caved. Can't blame them. They've got kids. These aren't street thugs, John. They've got training, gear. The FBI's involved, but they're moving slow. Too slow. You telling me to stand down? John asked. I'm telling you to be careful, Roberts replied. No one else knows who you were, but I do. And these guys? They'll hurt anyone who stands in their way. John stared out the window as the last light faded over his land. Found anything solid yet? Nothing that sticks, Roberts muttered. Witnesses go quiet. Evidence disappears. Got a call from the state attorney today. Told me to stop digging. They're connected, John. Really connected. The sheriff stood, adjusting his belt. Watch your back, and if you need anything, you call. I know who to call, John muttered as the sheriff's truck disappeared down the dusty road. Inside the barn, he pressed his hand to a hidden panel. The old wall creaked, then slid open, revealing a covert communications center, the kind that didn't officially exist. He typed a single encrypted message. Time to wake the ghosts. Within minutes, replies began pouring in. His old team, men forged in black ops and battlefield fire, were already en route. The cartel had no idea what they'd stepped into. They thought they were dealing with a stubborn old farmer. They were about to meet something far worse. Atlas laid his head on John's knee, sensing the change. Too old for this, boy? John asked, scratching behind his ears. But they both knew better. Some men are built for peace, others are built for war. John Harrison had spent 15 years pretending to be the first. Now war was calling him back. Then the engines came. Through the security feeds, John watched 4 dusty vehicles approach from separate directions, old habits, no patterns, tactics designed to avoid being followed. First came Knox in his black pickup, then Cyrus in a beat-up Jeep. Zane and Nash weren't far behind, their rides caked in dirt from back roads only ghosts remembered. Inside the barn, the years melted away. The movement, the sync, it was still there. Muscle memory from missions that never made the news. Knox cradled his custom sniper case like a sacred relic. Cyrus wheeled in crates disguised as construction gear. explosives that could flatten a compound. Zane's comm setup looked civilian, but it could intercept encrypted military chatter in under a minute. And Nash? His medkit was more advanced than most ERs, and he'd patched every one of them up in the worst places on Earth. Just like old times, Knox said with a wry grin. Except now we don't have to wait for permission, Cyrus added. John laid a map across the workbench, valleys and ridges marked with precision. They're setting up more than smuggling routes. This is permanent infrastructure, a takeover. Zane tapped on his laptop, pulling up intercepted data. Mostly ex-Mexican special forces, trained but careless. They think no one's watching. How many? Nash asked. 30, split in 2 squads, John replied. Muscle first. Intimidation, threats, arson, then the pros, tactics. Heavy gear. Knox scanned the terrain from the barn window. Kill zones are natural. We control the high ground. We can funnel them where we want. They'll come hard, John warned. No more business suits, full assault, armor, maybe even air. Good, Cyrus smirked, already sketching out detonation plans. Been too long since I've had a real target. This isn't just about pushing them back, John said, the tone in his voice shifting. We end this entire network. Gone. The room fell silent. They knew that tone. It was the voice that pulled them through missions they never should have survived. You could have stayed out, John said quietly. Lived quiet. Safe. Nash shook his head. You remember Kosovo? That village? Some things you don't walk away from. Cyrus didn't look up. They took my cousin's farm in Texas, burned it down before the sheriff even filed a report. Not again. You called, Knox said simply. That's all. Zane's voice broke through the stillness. They're mobilizing now. Tonight, no more negotiations. They're coming to take this place and make an example. John didn't flinch. Then let's give them an example. The next hour was a blur of silent motion. Cyrus laid traps on the main road. Enough power to flip a convoy. Knox established sniper nests across 3 strategic hills. Zane turned John's basement into a command hub, syncing every camera, drone, and feed. Remember Kandahar? Knox asked, peeking through his scope. That night raid? Cyrus laughed. Didn't think we'd survive that one. Until Wade turned their own defenses against them, Nash added. How'd you know it would work? John loaded a fresh clip. People get cocky when they think they're winning. The cartel's the same. Zane's voice came over comms. They're assembling at the Thompson property, 20 vehicles, full gear, no subtlety. Means they're nervous, Cyrus noted, tightening the last wire. Good, John said, eyes fixed on the horizon. Nervous men make mistakes. As the sun sank low behind the Montana peaks, long shadows stretched over the valley. The team gathered on the porch. No one spoke. They didn't need to. They weren't the young men they used to be. They didn't have to be, because experience, grit, and willpower were about to meet arrogance, greed, and violence head on. Knox, John said, eyes scanning the ridgeline. Take the north tower. They won't see you coming. Cyrus, rig the barn. If they breach, light it up. And in the darkness ahead, the cartel was coming. Make the detonation look like bait, John ordered. Zane, keep listening in. The moment they split their force, we move. Nash, he added, set up med in the basement, but be ready to go mobile. If this turns into a firestorm, we'll need you on the move. No one needed extra explanation. This wasn't their first impossible mission, just maybe their last. Then John's voice shifted, quiet but commanding, cutting through the room like a blade. We're not just defending a farm. We're defending every family in this valley, every innocent person these bastards would destroy. We do it right. We do it clean, and we do it final. The team split off to their stations. John stayed behind, checking every weapon one last time. Atlas sat beside him, ears perked, ready. In the distance, clouds of dust rose into the twilight. The cartel was on the move. They thought they were coming to scare an old man. Instead, they were walking into a war zone crafted by elite warriors who'd made a career out of defeating the impossible. The radio crackled. First wave on the move. ETA 20 minutes, Zane reported. Copy that, John replied, signaling the others. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they've already won. Then we remind them who we are. Under moonlight, the Montana Valley turned silver. Through his night vision scope, John saw them, 20 vehicles in tactical formation. Someone had trained them well. Too bad they forgot Rule 1, never fight on ground your enemy controls. They're splitting up, Zane said through the comms. Main force down the center road. 2 flanking teams circling wide. Got eyes on lead vehicle, Knox confirmed. Officers in the back seat. Want me to take the shot? Negative, John replied. Let them feel safe. We strike on my mark. Headlights cut through the valley dark, slicing the road toward John's farm. No stealth, no subtlety. They thought they were hunting an old man. Contact in 2 minutes, Cyrus radioed. Charges armed and waiting. John watched through his scope as soldiers piled out of the first vehicles. They moved with precision, trained, coordinated, alert. Then came Miguel Ramirez, stepping from an armored SUV, giving hand signals to fan out. Surround the place, he ordered in Spanish. No survivors. They've got 50 cals and RPGs in the second wave, Zane warned. John stayed calm. Stick to the plan. Let them commit. Cartel soldiers pushed past John's first defenses without realizing it. 50 meters, 40, 30. Thermal shows nothing in the house, one of the gunmen shouted. Check the barn, Ramirez barked. 3 soldiers approached, rifles up. John tracked them through his scope, counting down. Now, he said. Cyrus hit the detonator. The ground exploded beneath the lead vehicles, flame, smoke, and steel raining down. Before the dust cleared, Knox opened fire. 2 soldiers dropped before they knew they were being attacked. What the hell's happening? Ramirez yelled, diving behind a truck. Chaos erupted. John's team lit up their kill zones, calculated lines of fire that punished every move the cartel made. Knox reported calmly, 3 flanking east. Got 'em, Cyrus replied, a string of explosions redirecting the flanking team into Nash's kill box. Not today, Nash muttered, dropping them in seconds. John moved through the darkness like smoke, silent, lethal. He intercepted 2 soldiers behind a shed, disarming one, using him as a shield against the other's fire. Both went down fast. No sound. This ain't right, a cartel soldier screamed over the radio. They're too organized. Ramirez's voice cut through. Fall back! Defensive perimeter! Too late. John detonated the second wave of charges, cutting off their retreat and trapping them in the zone. Knox, technical at your 3. Gunner down, Knox responded. Driver still up. John rolled behind a tractor as .50 cal bullets tore through where he'd just been. Cyrus, he shouted. Time for that toy! A rocket screamed through the night, smashing into the Technical's engine block. The truck flipped, exploded midair. Damn, I missed that, Cyrus chuckled. Stay focused, John barked. They're regrouping. Ramirez, bruised but standing, had rallied what was left of his force. They're falling back behind the wrecks, John observed. They've got training. I'll give them that. Even caught off guard, they're adapting. Zane, numbers? 18 still in the fight, he answered, calling for reinforcements. Second wave hits in 30. They won't make it that long, Knox said flatly, picking off another target. John watched Ramirez direct his troops, saw the strategy behind the chaos. They were trying to build a line, hold just long enough to bring the rest in, but they didn't realize the real trap hadn't even sprung yet. Cyrus hit their rally point. Knox, cover for runners. Nash, stay sharp. We're about to have wounded. Explosions ripped through the valley like thunder. The ground shook as the cartel's formation buckled. John moved like a phantom through the smoke, his suppressed rifle clearing threats before they even realized he was there. 20 years in special operations had taught him one thing: speed kills, hesitation kills faster. Incoming! He's inside the perimeter, a panicked cartel soldier screamed. John didn't answer with words. 3 men dropped before they could even turn. Who are you? Ramirez shouted into the chaos. The kind of farmer you don't threaten, John replied, his voice echoing from the shadows. What began as a show of force had become a desperate scramble to survive. Of the original 20 cartel vehicles, 8 now burned. Out of 40 men, fewer than half were still standing. Pull back! Ramirez barked. Full retreat! I don't think so, John muttered. Crack, crack, Crack. Knox's rifle took out the retreating vehicle's tires, stranding them in the kill zone. El Fantasma is going to kill us all, Ramirez muttered, realizing too late the trap they'd walked into. He should have done his homework, John said from the shadows. Ramirez turned too slow. One strike, clean and surgical, and the cartel leader collapsed. Area secure, Knox reported. No runners. Zane? Reinforcements inbound. ETA 20. Bigger force, heavily armed. Good, John said, zip-tying Ramirez. Let them come. First wave was the warning. The next, we bury them. The battlefield felt eerily quiet. Burning vehicles cast flickering shadows across the farm. Cartel soldiers, now prisoners, sat beneath Nash's watch. Ramirez groaned back to consciousness, his eyes filled with the awful realization that everything he believed about this valley had been wrong. 16 prisoners, Nash reported. 3 critical, but stable. John knelt beside the cartel leader. Let's talk about El Fantasma. Go to hell, Ramirez spat, launching a string of curses in Spanish. John answered, also in flawless Spanish. You've got 15 minutes before your reinforcements walk into the same trap. Want to save them from your mistake? Ramirez froze. That hit him harder than a punch. Zane walked over, laptop in hand. We cracked their comms. El Fantasma is on the way himself, bringing contractors, heavy gear. This one's not like the first wave. Ramirez laughed bitterly. You're all dead. He doesn't leave witnesses. He'll level this valley to find you. How many? John asked. Ramirez looked confused. Killers? Enough to wipe out a battalion. No, John clarified. How many families have you destroyed? How many farms have you burned? For the first time, Ramirez didn't answer. Knox? Convoy approaching from multiple angles. They're learning. Using terrain, 40 plus. Heavy weapons. They're spreading out, Cyrus added. Won't fall for the same trap twice. John turned back to Ramirez. Last chance. Help end this clean, or watch them die like the rest. You don't get it, Ramirez said, voice lower now. El Fantasma likes this. He wants blood. I've met men like him, John said. They all end the same. Zane's voice crackled through the radio. They're breaching the perimeter, moving slow, scanning for traps. John gathered his team around the glowing wreckage, faces lit by flame, their eyes didn't blink. They think we're wounded. They think we're spent. Let them think that. Let them get cocky. A new voice came through the open cartel channel. Deep, commanding. Spanish with a Cali cartel accent. El Fantasma himself. We found their command channel, Zane said. Want me to shut it down? John shook his head with a cold smile. No, let them talk. Fear spreads better when it's shared. The team took their new positions. No words needed. They'd done this before. Different country, same war. Through night vision, John watched the second wave move in with deadly discipline, leapfrogging cover to cover, perfect spacing, solid coordination. Contact in 2 minutes, Knox called. Got eyes on command element. Black Suburban, third vehicle in line. It's him. Cyrus, John said. Light it up. Cyrus didn't aim for the troops. He lit the battlefield. A burst of explosions erupted, turning night to blazing day. And in that light, El Fantasma saw what he was walking into. A valley designed for war, layered with traps, defended by legends. And now, the real battle was about to begin. They thought they were raiding a quiet farm. They had no idea they were walking into the most advanced community-led defense network in the country. When the cartel set its sights on Silver Creek Valley, they believed they'd crush a stubborn old farmer. What they didn't expect was John Harrison, the most lethal Delta Force commander in U.S. history, now retired, or so they thought. But this wasn't just John's fight anymore. Behind every haystack and porch light, behind each irrigation system and barn door, there was a plan, years in the making. John didn't just defend his land, he trained his community, farmers, ranchers, school teachers. They didn't need uniforms to be ready, they just needed purpose. And when the cartel sent their best, special forces, air support, elite kill teams, they were dismantled not by brute force, but by organized everyday life. Every inch of John's property had been fortified with precision. Every movement by locals looked natural, but it was all calculated. From muddy fields to blocked side roads, from false rumors of contamination to staged accidental delays, the cartel couldn't even tell what was real. Because the truth, it all was. After 2 failed invasions, intelligence probing, and legal attacks through shell companies and fake developers, the cartel gave up. And when the feds came in to investigate how one small valley defeated one of the most powerful crime syndicates in the Western Hemisphere, they found no hidden base, no secret bunker, no illegal paramilitary operation. All they saw was a well-run community with a few veterans helping out. But that's what made it perfect. By the time the FBI, DEA, and even foreign intelligence services realized what had been built, it was already too late. The valley had become a model, a myth, a new kind of fortress hidden in plain sight. And that, John said, was the point. Real power doesn't come from what you hide. It comes from knowing exactly who you are and being better at it than anyone expects. Let me know if you'd like this in voiceover script format, with titles, thumbnails, or next episode ideas, or if you want me to distill other long sections the same way.